Good morning and welcome to the Committee on Ways and Means. Committee Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Assemblywoman Anderson.
Present.
Assemblywoman Backus.
Present.
Assemblywoman Brown May.
Here.
Assemblywoman Dickman.
Here.
Assemblywoman Gorlow.
Here.
Assemblyman Hafen.
Here.
Assemblywoman Howdigy. Assemblywoman Kasama. Assemblyman Miller. Assemblyman O'Neill. Assemblywoman Peters. Assemblyman Watts. Assemblyman Yeager. And Chairman Romoreno.
And I am here. Will you please mark Assemblywoman Hudigi and Assemblyman Yeager present as they arrive? Good morning, members. I hope you got a nice nap. We were here late last night. We will have public comment at the end of the meeting today. If you'd like to call in for public comment, our number is 888-475-4499. Our meeting ID is 872-9510-3578, and then please press pound. I'd like to remind everyone to turn off your electronic devices, or at least mute them so they are not disruptive throughout today's hearings. We will be starting a little out of order. The top two bill drafts will be at the end of the meeting. So if you're here for AB 237 or AB 525, those will be the very last items that we will be doing today. So with that, we will open the hearing for Senate Bill 11. And as the presenters of the bill, I invite you to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Stephen Wood, representing the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities. We want to first thank you all for taking the time to hear SB 11. This is an important bill for local governments for safety for our building and fire inspectors. It's difficult sometimes for them to get up into high places, get on roofs, to complete an inspection that's important for public safety, and it's also important for these property owners to be able to ensure that their building is safe for the public. So with that, without going into too much of the policy, I'll turn it over to David Cherry, who's the Government Affairs Manager for the City of Henderson. And then we also have Chris Ferrari here to explain some additional pieces of the bill.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, David Cherry, Government Affairs Manager for the City of Henderson. The City of Henderson approached the League of Cities with this concept, knowing that it would not only benefit the City of Henderson, but cities and other local governments, public agencies across the state, all of whom are subject to regulation by the Department of Public Safety when it comes to the operation of drones. So we as public agencies can only operate drones in ways that are authorized by the Department of Public Safety. So when we came up with this concept, we recognized that that's the way the statute was written, so we came forward to the legislature and said, please require that the Department of Public Safety add this new use to its existing list of regulations for unmanned aerial vehicle use by public agencies. That was the part of the bill that was in its original form, and we thought it was in keeping with the way that the statute was created in 2015. DPS would use its existing authority, would add this one use to a list that contains about 16 other authorized uses. What we found after the fact was that there was some change in the way that the Department of Public Safety had been organized, and that the authority that they were vested with got separated. I'm sorry, the authority stayed with the Department of Public Safety, but the operation, the regulations, promulgation went over to the Department of Emergency Management. And so that's where we ended up with the fiscal note that we're here to discuss today. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris Ferrari because they have another section of the bill that they'd like to discuss.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. The mic sounds loud. Can you hear me? It's on. All right, perfect. For the record, Chris Ferrari today before you on behalf of Las Vegas homegrown company called Brink Drones. And when the cities were looking at this bill, we said their issue we wanted to address that's already been through Chairman Watts' committee, national security. And one of the things that the agencies also want to be compliant with is ensuring that they're not purchasing products that are manufactured by entities who are identified as enemies of America. So there is a National Department of Defense Act, Section 889. I'm not going to go into too much detail as this is the fiscal committee. but essentially ensuring that our government agencies are not purchasing anything from companies who are identified by the Department of Defense as enemies of our country. So just kind of a national security amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. And that amendment was introduced during the policy committee? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that could address the fiscal note from the Department of Public Safety, Nevada Highway Patrol? Looks like there's, and let's see if fiscal note has been amended in any way. In FY '24, $374,343, and in '25, $241,262.
Madam Chair, with your permission, again, David Cherry, Government Affairs Manager for the City of Henderson. I'd like to share with the committee what we have come to understand about the fiscal note. As I mentioned, when in 2021, when there was a reorganization by state government in the executive branch, they moved the Department of Emergency Management underneath the Office of the Military. DPS has the statutory authority to be regulating in this space with the UAVs. They don't have any staff, as we understand it currently at the moment, that is left at DPS that's doing this job now. So they came forward to ask for 2 staff members and some equipment, apparently, or a database that was needed to do that. One of the reasons we feel that the committee should look at favorably upon our request here is because we believe that, or it's clear to us that the statutory authority is at DPS. It's always been at DPS. We weren't asking them to do something new in this bill. They were already required to regulate UAVs. They're already required to maintain this list, the registry. All of these things that we were asking them to do were all in the main in what the authority that's been given to DPS since 2015 and the regulatory requirements that are on them. So one thing I will point out, the very last sentence of this fiscal note does say that the Highway Patrol would require funding to replace current unmanned aerial vehicle equipment. The bill was amended to reflect that any equipment that's already in the possession of local government or any public agency that's governed under this this section of NRS, we would be able to continue to use that. So we wouldn't have to replace existing drones. The requirement that or the prohibition and then the requirement to purchase from the list of authorized drone providers, that would only go into effect for new purchases. So that part of the fiscal note, I believe, is no longer valid. I don't know how much of that affects the overall cost, but I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
And if I could, Madam Chair, as well, this is Stephen Wood from the League of Cities. What we're asking for here is relatively simple in the regulations for the department to do. We're asking for 2 additional uses in what is already a long list of uses for local governments to use drones. And then Mr. Ferrari is asking basically for a citation of federal law to be added to the regulations.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. I wish the department was here to speak to their fiscal notes, and they are not, unfortunately. But I do have a few questions from some members. I'm going to start with Assemblyman Watts, and then we'll go to Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and a little bit more of a comment just to make sure that we continue to build the record, since unfortunately the Department of Public Safety is not here. There was again, so this was the statutory charge was always, and I guess at the end of the end of this, to make it a question, will be correct. So the statutory charge for doing the UAV regulations was always set with the Department of Public Safety. They basically passed that on at their own discretion, put that workload on the Division of Emergency Management, but nothing in statute actually put it on Division of Emergency Management. DEM then moved to the Office of the Military, and so DPS wanted to transfer that program over as well because they didn't have any longer somebody within their department to run this program. And again, this was a discussion that was proposed and brought forward in the policy committee, but there are concerns about having this program in the Office of the Military, including the fact that Office of the Military does not follow the Administrative Procedure Act, and so there would have to be specific language putting this rulemaking within that framework. And so, at the end of the day, as it stands under current law, even with DEM moving out, the responsibility for this program today sits with the Department of Public Safety, and so they should be continuing to administer this program. And if they don't have DEM to do it anymore, really they should identify another other staff or other entity within their department to carry this out, because it has always been their statutory charge. Correct?
Stephen Wood, for the record, that is correct.
Thank you for that long question. Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing forward the language. As I look through the regulations, that would be the department, not you guys, though. So I guess it is kind of in the same vein of trying to make sure that we've got some information on there. There's no mention about training for the people that are working, especially for that this would be paid training or any acknowledgement about training. So based upon the past hearings or other discussions, has there ever been any discussion about training, especially with the collective bargaining units that are part of these entities?
Thank you for the question, Stephen Wood, for the record. I'll start by mentioning that when local governments are operating drones, when anybody is operating them, they still must comply with FAA regulations, and there are certain training requirements and licensing requirements as part of that. And I can let Mr. Cherry or Mr. Ferrari answer further, but we comply with all of those regulations currently, and we will continue to do so.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Again, David Cherry, Government Affairs Manager, City of Henderson. Just so everybody understands, we're not looking to replace our inspectors with drones. They would be operated by the inspectors, almost like an extension of their own eyes. So you would have to receive training, although it's possible that an inspector could be accompanied by a drone operator, so they don't necessarily have to be the ones trained to operate the drone. Mr. Wood is correct that you do have to abide by FAA requirements. They do regulate in that space and get that certification. And on the form that you have to submit as a public agency to the Department of Public Safety that says we operate a drone, there's a thing that you have to check saying we have the FAA certification for doing this activity. One more thing I'll just state is that we did in the policy committee, we were asked to go back and check with our collective bargaining units to see if they had any concerns, and they do not have concerns. They think their workforce will be trained, and that this could actually be an enhancement to the ability to provide services. Thank you.
Assemblyman Hafen, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question that I did have was addressed by Assemblyman Watts, and I want to say thank you for that answer, because I did not understand where the fiscal note was coming from. I don't see the reason for a fiscal note on this, since they're already required to do this anyways. And when I look at this, the language in this bill, I look at this as we're putting safeguards in for the public, so that these aren't being abused. And I do thoroughly appreciate the bringing in the compliance with the federal government, and I do see the importance of this bill. And so I just want to say thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Assemblyman Watts for the explanation of the fiscal note that I would agree is probably not necessarily needed. So thank you.
Thank you. Members, any other questions for the presenters? Not seeing any. I'll thank the three of you and ask you to step back and invite anyone to the table that's here to testify in support of Senate Bill 11. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair. For the record, Susan Fisher with McDonald Corano, testifying this morning on behalf of Nevada Aviation Association and also Crown Castle, which is an international telecommunications company, and their affiliate company, Birdstop, which provides drones to local governmental entities and software for the drones so that they can do this sort of work that we're talking about doing in this bill. We're in full support of the bill, and we very much appreciate the League bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 11? Not seeing any. Then going to Las Vegas. Is there anyone in Las Vegas that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 11? Not seeing anyone approach the table. BPS, do we have anyone on our telephone lines that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 11?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 11, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So moving to opposition, is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 11? Not seeing any, and not seeing anyone move to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 11?
If you would like to testify in opposition on Senate Bill 11, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So moving to the neutral position, is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 11 here in Carson City? Not seeing any, and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 11, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. And with that, I'll ask the presenters if you have any closing comments. Seeing none, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 11. And we'll move to the next item on our agenda, and that is Senate Bill 45. And I'll invite the presenters for Senate Bill 45 to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Fran Alvarez, and I'm the president of the Nevada Silver-Haired Legislative Forum, representing Senate District 10 as a foreign member. I am pleased to present Senate Bill 45, which would increase the monthly personal allowance for certain Medicaid recipients residing in skilled nursing facilities so that it will be equal to the amount for Medicaid waiver recipients living in group home settings. With me today is Patrick Ashton, political analyst from the Research Division of the Legislative Counsel Bureau, who provided, together with his colleague Ashley Kalina, nonpartisan staffing services to the forum last interim. I also want to point out an exhibit that was uploaded to Nellis. It is a template letter from the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Welfare and Supportive Services, sent to group home operators in Nevada last fall, informing them that the increase in supplemental security income payments for 2023. As a brief overview, the Nevada Silver-Haired Legislative Forum was created in 1997 to identify and act upon issues of importance to aging persons. It is comprised of up to 21 members, 60 years of age or older, nominated by state senators for appointment by the Legislative Commission. The forum may submit one bill draft request to each regular legislative session. During a DHHS presentation last year, members learned that there are two care options for long-term services and supports for certain Medicaid recipients, including seniors in institutional care and home and community-based services. We also learned the Social Security Act provides for personal needs allowance, or P&A, for Medicaid recipients residing in nursing facilities and group home settings. That is, if a Medicaid recipient is living in either of these settings, the Social Security Act requires an allowance to be deducted from their monthly income to reserve some funds to cover costs of care not reimbursed by Medicaid. The rest of their monthly income goes to the nursing facility or group home for room and board. These Medicaid recipients depend on the P&A for items such as clothing, grooming needs, toiletries, snacks, writing utensils, essential personal items, and other incidentals. Federal law sets the minimum monthly P&A at $30. However, states can allow a higher monthly P&A than the required federal minimum. Here is the challenge we're looking at in Nevada. Seniors receiving Medicaid and living in nursing facilities or group home settings receive a P&A, but at differing rates of $35 and $149, respectively. Overall, the difference in the P&A between Medicaid nursing facility residents and Medicaid home and community-based service clients in group homes is currently $114 monthly. In other words, a senior living in a group home receives an allowance over 4 times higher than a senior residing in a nursing home. Based on information provided by DWSS, the P&A rate for residents of nursing facilities has not changed since 1991. Nevada is one of 7 states that have maintained P&A rate of less than $40. This means, for example, seniors residing in a nursing home must save their P&A for several months to replace basic clothing items. This issue has only worsened with inflation, increasing the cost of everyday items over the last 32 years. In contrast, seniors living in group homes and receiving Medicaid home and community-based waiver services had the P&A annually increased on the annual Social Security Administration's cost of living adjustment. Beginning in January 2023, these waiver recipients received a total SSI of $1,305 monthly, which is split as following: a federal payment of $914 and a supplemental state payment of $391. Waiver recipients may keep an allowance of $149. The remaining $1,156 go to the group home operator to cover the costs of room and board. The P&A is increased proportionate with the SI COLA adjustment. For instance, the COLA for 2023 increased for these group home residents by 8.7% from 137 to 149. How would SB 45 fix the discrepancy of significantly different allowances based on what kind of long-term care setting a person in this state resides? The answer you can find on page 2, subsection 1 of section 1, which requires the director of DHHS to include in the state plan for Medicaid that monthly P&A for Medicaid recipients residing in a skilled nursing facility must be no less than the monthly P&A provided to Medicaid waiver recipients living in a group setting. Increasing the P&A from $35 to $149 for Medicaid recipients would also impact the recipient's share of the nursing facility stay. If the P&A increases, the recipient's share decreases. This means that the costs covered by Nevada Medicaid would increase by $114 per recipient. Senate Bill 45 was amended on the Senate side with an appropriation from the State General Fund to Nevada Medicaid for the estimated costs of increasing the monthly P&A. The appropriations over the next biennium are $945,000 from the State General Fund and $2,924,000 from federal funds. I would like to highlight the actual cost of the State General Fund are less than $1 million for the upcoming biennium. This is because the federal Medicaid assistance program would cover most of these cost increases. This includes my brief overview of SB 45. Thank you for your time and consideration of the measure, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. So in the amendment number 756, the appropriations were added to the legislation's members. Do you have any questions for either of the presenters? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. I'll invite to the table anyone that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 45. Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City. Is there anyone in Las Vegas that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 45? Not seeing anyone come to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone joining us on the phone line that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 45?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 45, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Coming back to Carson City, is there anyone that would like to testify in opposition with Senate Bill 45? Not seeing anyone come to the table here in Carson City, and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 45?
If you would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 45, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So coming back to Carson City for a neutral testimony, is there anyone here in Carson City or in Las Vegas that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 45? Not seeing anyone come to either table, BPS, we'll go to the phone lines again. Is there anyone on the phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 45?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 45, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll ask the presenters if you have any closing comments.
Again, for the record, my name is Fran Alvarez. Thank you very much for hearing this bill. And I would just like to say that seniors living in skilled nursing facilities would greatly appreciate your passing this funding for them. $35, which is what they receive now for any incidentals. They have to save for several months to be able to, buy any clothing or other needs that they might need. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And with that, members, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 45, but we will open the work session for Senate Bill 45. And I will accept a motion to do pass.
Madam Chair, move to do pass Senate Bill 45.
Can I get a second? Second. I have a motion from Assemblywoman Bacchus, a second from Assemblyman Watts. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimous of the members present. And we'll move on to Senate Bill 54. Good morning and welcome to Ways and Means.
Good morning, Chair Monroe Moreno and members of the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. For the record, James Orenshaw, I represent State Senate District 21 down in Southern Nevada. My first opportunity to get to present a bill here, and appreciate you hearing Senate Bill 54, which came out of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. I'm very lucky to have with me our Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, Mark Woloshyn, and our Chief Deputy Secretary of State, Gabriel Tagara, here to help me co-present. Senate Bill 54 has to do with our state's top election officer, the Secretary of State, and promulgating an elections manual that will be a guide to county clerks and registrars. At our hearing in the Senate side, we had testimony that I believe of the 17 clerk registrars in the county, I think only 7 were in office in 2020. So we have a lot of brand new people, fresh faces in these very important positions. And what I think this manual, if it passes into law, will help provide uniformity and consistency in election procedures throughout the state. With your permission, Chair, if I could turn it over to Chief Deputy Secretary of State Tagara and to Deputy Secretary of State Woloshyn, then I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Mark Woloshyn, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections for the record. Speaking specifically to the fiscal note, the fiscal note actually is focused on 2 elements of the bill itself. The first is the creation of an elections procedure manual. We have an initial version in development already. It's about 500 pages long, and it is modeled after the elections procedure manuals that exist in other states across the country. The fiscal note specifically calls out for the printing. Again, there's 2 differences in the numbers there, primarily because during an odd-numbered year, we anticipate having more individuals in attendance at the training event, necessitating a printing of 50 copies of the book, with an additional 20 in the following years. It would also, of course, be a public document. We would put the PDF on the Secretary of State's website specifically so that members of the public can review this document and use it to answer their questions as well. But again, that would be made free to the public. The other element of the fiscal note that we identified was the paying for the travel per diem and essentially a conference to conduct this training event on an annual basis. But you'll notice that, again, there's not a specific fiscal requirement in the bill because of the method by which we have requested the reimbursement of the funding through the reserve for statutory contingency account through the Board of Examiners. That also is going to enable us to continue to review and identify efficient means to have a conference. Again, we are truly looking at the most cost savings that we can identify to preserve taxpayer dollars while still finding a means to be efficient and providing this essential training to our clerks and election officials across the state. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
So the fiscal note, was the appropriation amended into the bill on Amendment 757? Has that appropriation been identified on the Senate side and addressed?
Madam Chair, Mark Velosh for the record. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions for Senator Orenshaw or the presenters from the Secretary of State's office? Not seeing any. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee. Thanks for hearing the bill.
And with that, we'll open testimony on Senate Bill 54 and invite anyone that's here in the audience that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 54 to the table. Welcome and good morning.
Good morning. Isaac Troyo with Strategy 260, today representing Camping Legal Center. We urge to support SB 54. It'll ensure better education and democracy here in the state, so we urge you to support this bill. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Noé Orozco. That's O-R-O-S-C-O. I am the program manager of Silver State Voices, which leads the Let Nevadans Vote Coalition. On behalf of the coalition, I am here to express our support for SB 54. As was stated by Senator Orenshaw, earlier this year there was a presentation in the Joint Legislative Operations and Elections Committee that indicated that out of the 17 clerks, only 7 were here during the 2020 election. So this loss of institutional knowledge is very unfortunate and underscores the importance of having the elections procedure manual updated every 2 years instead of every 10 years. The manual will not only benefit city and county clerks, but also Nevadan voters. It will be accessible to the general public. By implementing this provision, we can help guarantee that all city and county clerks receive adequate training and are equipped with the necessary knowledge and resources to carry out their duties effectively. We urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 54? Not seeing any. Not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas to testify in support of Senate Bill 54. We'll go to the phone lines. BPS, do we have anyone joining us by phone that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 54?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 54, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Coming back to Carson City. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 54? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state chairman of the Independent American Party. And first, I want to say that we are very pleased with some of the amendments to this bill, particularly the one that Senator Daley brought, which requires public oversight through the Legislative Commission, because originally there was no oversight. And that's very important on elections because we want transparency and we want people involved in the process. So we do appreciate that very much. We are concerned just with the overall idea that it's all top-down now. We want to make sure that the autonomy of our local county clerks is maintained, that are elected by their local constituents. One thing I didn't see in the bill, and maybe I missed it, I hope the Secretary of State will be conferring with the county clerks before they finish the manual and before they do the training, so that the concerns and issues of county clerks can be addressed by the manual. That, I think, is very important because we have them as elected officials and they should have something to say about what exactly is in the manual. And so we ask for that. So we just continue to have the concerns that this is all top-down and for maintaining the autonomy of our local county clerks. And thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Chair and Committee, my name is Lynn Chapman, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. And we too are very thankful to Senator Daley, who happens to be my senator, and he was on top of it and brought a good amendment to this bill. We were concerned and still a little concerned about that. We want to keep the process going with people involved, like the county clerks, registrars, and the actual public. We want to keep them all involved in all of this. So thank you very much, and thank you for the amendment, Senator Daley. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Chairman and Committee, Barbara Jones, for the record. I am so animate about this bill. I've done more research than any in this session, and you have an historic decision to make, bigger than I think you realize, for this state now and in the future. This is really top-down more than you can realize. Uniformity and ease and convenience is not always the best thing. Our local elections need to be protected. And this bill is the main implementation of the REMS project, which it gives the Secretary of State the power, and it's right here, each county clerk and city clerk is required to comply with the procedures set forth in the most current version of the election process procedures manual. And this is the third stage of implementation of the REMS project, which is the consulting firm Gardner was national. I've researched international. I've researched CEOs, the vendor No Inc., all international connections. Right now, the first two phases, they've spent over $400,000. The implementation, not just in this bill, some others that you've already passed, is $30 million this year total. So it's all on the Secretary of State website. The international connections are unbelievable. And I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green, whatever, or I don't care who the Secretary of State is. If you lose your local control to international and national people, we're in big danger. So please, I don't care what party, please stop this manual. The oversight is good, but it's not good enough. Every not less than 4 years, you don't know who's on the committee, you don't know what oversight is going to be included, and it's still a big no on SB 54.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to testify in opposition. Do we have anyone in Las Vegas that would like to testify in opposition on Senate Bill 54? Not seeing any. BPS, can we go to the phone line and see if there's anyone that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 54?
If you would like to testify in opposition on Senate Bill 54, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Thank you to the chair and the committee. My name is Alita Benson, Executive Director of the Nevada Republican Party, testifying in opposition to SB 54 on behalf of the Nevada Republican Party. SB 54 is an attack on local control. Local control is regularly invoked when defending irregular election practices in Clark County, such as excluding poll observers, not following publicly posted schedules, or refusing to allow cameras to live stream the ballot counting process to the public as other counties in Nevada do. The importance of local control over elections was used as the reason to not address each of these real-life issues. SB 54 attacks the right of voters to determine what kind of election system they find trustworthy. Nevada's counties, like our residents, are diverse and varied. The system for Esmeralda County, with 617 registered voters, can and perhaps should be radically different from Clark County, with over 1.3 million active voters. That's not for an unaccountable commission to decide behind closed doors. It is for the voters in each county to decide. SB 54 attempts to disenfranchise rural voters by preventing them from directing their local county representatives to implement a voting system that they find most fair and responsive to their needs. This bill is an improper attempt to circumvent procedures for issuing new regulations which require public comment and participation via the Nevada Administrative Code. Open meetings and a strict adherence to open meeting laws are the hallmark of transparent government. An arbitrary Secretary of State guidebook attempting to impose Clark County's election rules statewide is an attempt to subvert the authority of county commissioners and county clerks to decide their county-specific election procedures, an authority which should be protected by the Democrat-sponsored Voters' Bill of Rights. For these reasons, we request that you please vote no on SB 54. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. Coming back to Carson City, do we have anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 54? Not seeing anyone come to the table here and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony and neutral on Assembly Bill 54?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 54, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will ask the presenter if you have any closing comments.
Chair Monroe Moreno, thank you very much. Members of the committee, James Orenshall, Senate 21, thank you for hearing Senate Bill 54. Just to briefly address some of the concerns the opposition had, there was testimony on the Senate side that the Secretary of State has twice a month phone calls with all 17 clerks. So I'm confident that there will be input from all our clerks and registrars in terms of creating this election manual. There will be oversight by the Legislative Commission. That came through on Senator Daley's amendment. And as to the content of the elections manual, I just want to point the committee to Section 2 of the bill on page 2, subparagraph 4. Nothing in the section authorizes the Secretary of State to include any provision in the Elections Procedure Manual that amends or conflicts with any provision of state or federal law or regulations. And in subparagraph 2, there's the requirement that the Elections Procedures Manual comply with all of Title 24 of the NRS regarding election law and all our state Secretary of State regulations regarding elections. With your indulgence, Chair, may Chief Deputy Secretary of State make brief closing comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Orenshall. Madam Chair, members of the committee, Assembly Bill 422 from the 81st legislative session required the state to move to a top-down voter registration and election management system. That's what we are in the process of doing now. This is going to be a new system for all of our counties, from Esmeralda all the way up to Clark. They are going to need, they are working with us closely now on the implementation. They're going to need instruction. Their staff will need instruction on how everything works. This manual is not intended to be the Secretary of State dictating to county clerks how to do their job. This manual is intended to be a tool for them to be able to meet all of the needs that they are required by statute and regulation to follow very, very closely. So thank you very much, Senator Orenshall.
And thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee, for hearing the bill.
Thank you so much. So we will go ahead and close the hearing on Senate Bill 54. With that, I'm going to actually open up the work session on Senate Bill 54. I would take a motion to do pass Senate Bill 54.
Madam Vice Chair, I would do motion to do pass Senate Bill 54.
I have a first from Assemblywoman Peters, a second from Assemblyman Watts. Is there any discussion on the motion? I'll go to Assemblyman Haven.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Based on the public testimony, I want to look at the policy portion of it a little bit more. Being that the fiscal is very, very minor, I will vote this out of the fiscal committee, However, I do want to look further into the policy, so I will reserve my right on the floor. Thank you, Madam Chair, or Vice Chair.
I believe I have a ditto, but Assemblyman O'Neill?
Yeah, I've emailed our the registrar here in Carson City, also Story County, the clerk, to get their take on it. Because the monetary is not of concern. It's policy, and I know it's a we're in a money committee, so I'll go yes with the reservation. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. With that, thank you. Assemblywoman Kazama.
Thank you, Chair. I would ditto my colleagues' comments as well. Thank you.
Thank you all. With that, those in favor of those in favor of Senate Bill 54, aye. Those opposed, nay. We have a nay from Assemblywoman Dickman. The motion passes. With that, we'll assign the floor statement to Chair Monroe Moreno. We'll go ahead and now open the hearing on Senate Bill 82 and welcome Senator Daly to the dais, and please feel free to begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Skip Daly, representing Senate District 13 for the record. Without going into the policy, I know you guys are not the policy committee. Basically, what we're trying to do with SB 82 in relation to the Apprentice Utilization Act is to update it with the goal to have more apprentices be utilized on the projects. So it switches the current process. A lot of it remains the same, but it switches the current process instead of a request job by job to an annual process. So it takes the awarding bodies out of the enforcement, and it does put that over to the Labor Commissioner's office. I'll give an example. Under the current system, a person could have a multi-million-dollar high school, whatever it might be, that's going to be under construction for 18 months. And if they call in on the day for an apprentice and there's not one available that day, they would receive a waiver for the entire job. Under this system, they would have to try to meet that goal annually, so they would have an ongoing obligation to call at least once every 30 days to see if there's another apprentice to try to utilize and get the apprentices to the job. So without going into the rest of that, the fiscal note, we did get reduced from the Labor Commissioner's office down to $376,876. Essentially, we stay the same the way it is now through the end of the year, so this would go into effect January 1st of 2024, and then they would try to do the utilization under this new provisions for that entire year, and then they would have an annual report that the contractor would have to put in on a form from the Labor Commissioner with the information that's in the bill on whether or not they met the utilization goal for horizontal versus or vertical work. And that's where the fiscal note comes in. There will be, we anticipate, additional work for the office to review those reports and accept complaints. So two ways: the Labor Commissioner on their own can initiate a complaint, or they could receive a complaint from unions, whoever else might want to be looking into that. But there is a time limit. They basically have 75 days to make that complaint. We didn't want to have it open-ended and have it go on for 2 years. So there is a time limit there, but there will be that focus of work there from February 15th to May 1st. And that's about all I have. Unless you have issues on the policy, I'm happy to answer it. I think that explains the fiscal note. We are hoping that it can be either funded or done through a work program in the interim, but it wouldn't really actually come to fruition until February 15th of 2025.
And so, Senator Daly, on this, we noticed that on the Senate side, the fiscal note was not appropriated within the bill itself, and so the fiscal still remains.
Yeah, I don't believe that we actually got the fiscal note until it actually got out over to this side. At the beginning, there wasn't any. We spoke with the stakeholders. We were talking with the Labor Commissioner along the way, and after we got it out of the Senate, in further examination, there was a fiscal note that was put in, and we reached back out to the Labor Commissioner's office and said, hey, you're not going to have anything for this first year. You're not going to have any impact for 2024. The first report isn't due until February 15th of 2025. So that's how come we were able to reduce that from the previous fiscal note. But that staff people, I'm sure, will be used. I'm hoping that it can either be funded or, like I said, you can do an interim work program, whichever way it goes. But the bill is important. It is and will have the effect, I believe, and the enforcement mechanisms to increase utilization of apprentices, which is the goal.
And so just for my records, I want to make sure that after the bill went out, the most recent fiscal note was prepared May 26th, and that's the one for $376,876 just in fiscal year 25, which seems to comport with the timeline that you were talking about.
Yes, that's the most recent fiscal note. It was double that almost. Excuse me again, Skip Daly, for the record. It was double that before, but when we talked to the Labor Commissioner's office, there's nothing for this this first half of the biennium. We were able to get it reduced. Again, we're all working in the same goal. We just need to figure out how we make sure that the funding gets there.
Thank you so much. With that, committee members, does anyone have any questions for Senator Daly? Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and take testimony in support of Senate Bill 82, and we'll start that here in Carson City. And please feel free to start when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Alexis Modrex with the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors, representing both signatory and open shop construction companies in northern Nevada. We are here in support of SB 82. I first want to thank the sponsor. Senator Daly has worked for months with stakeholders to improve the Apprenticeship Utilization Act, and we appreciate how hard he has worked to get this bill from where it started to where it is today. While this bill will place more administrative burden on the Labor Commissioner, it relieves each individual public owner in this state, including State Public Works and INCHE, from monitoring and enforcing the provisions of the existing AUA, and also having to be the one to request waivers from the Labor Commissioner on behalf of their contractors on each of their projects, thus freeing up those valuable resources for other benefit. The stakeholders involved in this legislation, including the Labor Commissioner's office, have been working in good faith for months to make the AUA easier to comply with while maintaining the fundamental purpose to require the use of apprentices on public works projects so they get the real-world hands-on work experience, and we urge your approval of this funding. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Glenn Levitt. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Nevada Contractors Association. We represent over 450 contractors, subcontractors, and industry affiliates, primarily in Southern Nevada. The Nevada Contractors Association is in support of SB 82 as it is an improvement on the provisions currently in the Apprentice Utilization Act, and encourage your support of this measure.
Good morning, Vice Chair and committee members. My name is Brian Reeder, speaking on behalf of Las Vegas Paving. Billy Wellman could not be here this morning to testify, so I'm providing testimony on his behalf. He's been working on this issue since 2011, and this helps capture the intent of the bill that passed in 2019, authorizing the Apprentice Utilization Act, and that is to get more apprentices on job sites. The current process is cumbersome. It's a waiver process that is per job, per entity, and it ends up actually leading to less apprentices, less ability for the contractor to get apprentices on their job site. This gives the contractor more control so they can put apprentices on the job site when and where it's appropriate. And it came out of the policy committee unanimous, so we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll go to Las Vegas. Is there anyone wishing to give testimony in support of Senate Bill 82? BPS, we'll go to the phone lines. Is there anyone on the phone lines wishing to give testimony in support of Senate Bill 82?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 82, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll come back up to Carson City. Is there anyone here wishing to give testimony in the opposition to Senate Bill 82? Las Vegas, is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to give testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 82? BPS, is there anyone on the phone line wishing to give testimony in opposition to Senate Bill 82?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 82, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll move to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to give testimony in the neutral to Senate Bill 82? Las Vegas, and I feel like there's only one gentleman. I'm not sure if you want to give testimony in neutral to Senate Bill 82. Please come forward. Okay, BPS, is anyone on the phone line wishing to give neutral testimony to Senate Bill 82?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 82, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll go ahead and close the hearing on Senate Bill 82.
Members, we're going to take a 1-minute recess. Okay, members, we will bring the meeting back to order and we will move on with our agenda. And the next bill on our agenda is Senate Bill 240. So we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 240 and invite Senator Neal to the dais, to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Assembly Committee on Ways and Means. To race up the stairs. All right. So SB 240, it's a New Markets Job Act. It's been around since 2013. It was reauth in 2019. This particular version extends the program and certifies an additional $170 million in qualified equity investment under the Nevada New Markets Job Act. The tax credits are earned against the insurance premium tax, but they may not be taken until July 1st, 2026. The bill also has an New Markets Job Act for $30 million in impact qualified equity investments to qualified active low-income community businesses as specified in the bill, and it's on or after July 1st, 2024. No credit may be taken until July 1st, 2026. The fiscal note that you guys have in your committee is general fund appropriation of $103,135 in FY24, and then $99,665 in FY25 for the Department of Business and Industry to carry out the provisions of this bill. Majority of it, of the additional costs, even though this has been a program, is because of $30 million impact equity investment program, which is new.
Thank you, Senator Neal. So the fiscal notes from B&I were not amended into the bill on the Senate side?
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Perfect. Members, any questions for Senator Neal on this bill? And we have a second bill on our agenda today as well. It'll be 362. But do we have any questions for Senator Neal on this one? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. And we'll open testimony and support for Senate Bill 240.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Darian Harris with Advantage Capital. We're one of the original community development entities to participate in the New Markets Jobs Act when it was enacted in 2013, and we've continued to participate through its renewal in 2019, and I just urge your support for the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Nick Vasiliadis for the record on behalf of Advantage Capital Partners. I know this is the Money Committee, but this was something that several of you did get to vote on in 2019 to reauthorize. And so I'd like to just provide a brief overview of what has come from that. The Department of B&I does a look-back study on these, and I think a few of the key points on this look-back study is important because that was the entire intent of the bill. It was supposed to be something that hit statewide, and so you're seeing businesses in Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, Pahrump, Silver Springs, Sparks, Reno, and Elko all receive funds from this. There was also a very specific effort to make sure that this impacted severely distressed areas per the census. And so you're seeing that over 50% of the employees, whether women or people of color, you're also seeing a return on investment for the state. For every $1 spent, about $10 back in return. And you're also seeing about a $25 average hourly salary for employees who work at businesses that are receiving these funds. I think it's also important to note that from 2003 to 2012, the state was receiving about $220,000 a year in federal matching dollars. Since this program has been put into place from 2013 to about 2020, we're now receiving $39 million a year from the federal government in terms of matching these programs for these types of investments. With that, Madam Chair, I urge the committee's support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Hello, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Trevor Parrish, the Manager of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of this bill and the financial provisions provided with it, and certainly the economic benefits that we'll see from the bill. So with that, we urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to testify in support of Senate Bill 240. Not seeing anyone at our table in Las Vegas to testify in support of Senate Bill 240. BPS, do we have anyone on our phone line that would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 240?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 240, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 240? Not seeing any. Not seeing anyone at our table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 240?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 240, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 237, you're unmuted and may begin.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Randy Robinson, Director of Government Affairs from the City of Las Vegas, calling to support Senate Bill 240. This is a program that we've taken particular advantage of in the City of Las Vegas, and wanted to also thank Senator Neal. She's long been an advocate for these issues, and we appreciate her continued advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we will move your testimony to support. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So we'll go to the neutral position. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 240? Good morning.
Good morning. Terry Reynolds, Director for the Department of Business and Industry. I've been involved in this program since 2013, since its inception. Conducted the first hearing with our community development entities on our regulations for this program. Aside from that, I'm here to answer any questions you have or any questions on the fiscal note. So happy to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Reynolds? And since the fiscal note was taken care of in the on the Senate side and included in the bill itself, I think that we are good with it. So, members, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 240. We'll go to Las Vegas. And not seeing anyone in Las Vegas at our table to provide neutral testimony. BPS, do we have anyone on our phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 240?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 240, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will ask the sponsor if you have any closing comments. Seeing no closing comments, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 240, and we will open the work session on Senate Bill 240, and seeing that all of the appropriations were included in the amendment and revised second reprint of the bill. I will accept a motion to do pass.
Madam Chair, I'd move to do pass Senate Bill 240.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Bacchus, a second from Assemblywoman Dickman. Any questions or comments on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimous of the members present. And since we have Senator Neal here in the room, we will go ahead and open the hearing on Senate Bill 362 and invite her back to the table.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had to look that up because at first I was like, maybe that's not me. But so SB 362, I believe, is here because the provision in the bill, there's a driver's license piece that allows for a symbol to be applied for a medical condition. And the medical condition that is listed, it's I won't say it's an exhaustive list, but it allows DMV, as a citizen decides that they want to put something on there like, I have epilepsy, I have, a mental health condition, so that a peace officer who may stop that individual, the medical symbol would then apply to the driver's license, the ID card, to then give further information to allow that stop to happen appropriately if there was a situation. DMV put a fiscal note of $127,000 on this because they are currently in the process, as you know, doing their transformation effort with their system. The bill becomes effective on for the October 1st for regs, and then administrative task January 1st, 2024 for all other purposes, because they asked me to extend the deadline so that they could have their new system in place to roll this in.
So, question. We've had DMV in for a number of bills, and by pushing out the deadline, they were removing the fiscal note. Did they make that offer to you? And I don't see anyone here this morning that can address that.
Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno, no, they did not.
All right. Then let's reach out to them and see if we can get that same offer for, because I do not see an amended fiscal note. One moment. Assemblyman Miller?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I know on a bill that I was working on, we were able to push the date out to 2026, and that was what was able to remove the fiscal, because they said they'd be able to do it in their update, right? So I'm just curious for your bill, if the date was pushed out to 2026 with the expectation that they could get it done as soon as possible. I mean, if they are able to confirm that, does moving the date to 2026 pose a problem for the bill?
No, I just, Senator Neal, for the record, I just need to make sure that it only applies to that particular portion of the provision, but I thought that they were going to start their system implementation by the end of 24. No? It's like a forever project.
Well, we know how system updates are, right? So even like with my bill, it was, the understanding was that they would more than likely implement sooner, but we were giving till 2026 in case there were issues or whatnot. But they expected to be able to implement much sooner than that.
Thank you for the question, Assemblyman Miller. I'm okay with pushing the date out. I just need to make sure that it doesn't affect the first portion of the bill, which relates to the peace officer training around intellectual property. But that's fine with me as long as it's there. I think it's a safekeeping measure just to make sure that folks who have a health condition is pretty much earmarked on their ID or license, so that a peace officer has more knowledge than not in regards to a citizen that they may encounter.
Assemblywoman Kasama?
Thank you. I was just kind of looking for clarification between the two bills, because we have the bill from my colleague here and your bill as well. So would these be two different symbols on the driver's license, or are they going to end up being the same symbol? Because I believe one was for communication impaired and this is more health, but I'm just curious how those will work together.
So thank you for the question, Assemblywoman Kasama. I actually have a symbol designed. I don't have it because I raced up here. It actually was a play on the AMA symbol, but it's an N with a serpent that comes through the center. And the idea is that hopefully there could be some conformance that it would be similar. I am familiar with the fact that Assemblyman Miller had a bill specifically on this. I brought it because we have silent diseases that aren't necessarily on the surface. And also trying to make sure, because we've had a lot of stories nationally where a person can have sickle cell, be running, and then they have a sickle cell experience, which causes asphyxiation naturally. And this would then indicate the medical services piece that is also in the bill and trigger that, right? So I'm assuming in all things legislative that when the legislative Bureau sees where there's in conflict and where there's conformity, they make that match.
So it could possibly be two different symbols.
The plan is not for it to be two different symbols. I mean, ideally, would like the one that I created. I wish I had it with me, but to be adopted. But you can't legislate a symbol, right? So at the end of the day, I just tried to give an example of probably what would be appropriate. That would be an indicator, because in current law, my bill is updating what was in existence from 2007. So currently in law, from the 2007 version, it's just a bunch of numbers. It's a code, and which makes it hard to decipher what 1003895 means, right? And so I wanted to simplify it so that it would just be a symbol encoded on the identification.
Yeah, no, I like the idea. I think it's good. I'm just kind of wondering how they work together. So if ends up being one symbol,
they should complement each other, but it would make sense to have one symbol.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
So I just want to provide a little context there. They should definitely complement each other. However, one doesn't necessarily mean the other thing. So I don't know that there would just be one symbol, because one indicates a specific health issue and the other indicates a specific communication need. And you may have a communication need that's not a health issue, but either way, what we're doing is the work to make sure that law enforcement has what they need when approaching an individual, to know if they're going to need additional attention or how to approach them. So whether it's two signs or one sign, they work together and will hopefully accomplish the goal of safer interactions.
Yeah. So whatever's the will of this committee to simplify it, I mean, you guys can work it out.
Members, any other questions? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for your presentation, and we'll open it up for testimony in support of Senate Bill 362. Not seeing any here in Carson City. Not seeing anyone come to the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on our phone line that would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 362?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 362, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So moving to opposition, is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 362? Not seeing any, and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 362?
If you would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 362, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Catherine Nielsen. I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. I'm testifying today both as a constituent and in my professional role, and I really hate to be doing that in opposition. But both my husband and I have epilepsy. After a seizure, it's very likely we will get aggressive, be unsteady on our feet, may try to run, etc. To others, it may appear that we're under the influence. I wear a seatbelt cover that states I have epilepsy and may have a seizure. We both already have on our driver's licenses that we have epilepsy, but I don't believe officers truly look at this prior to an interaction with the public. I'm torn because it states that this designation would be voluntary, but there are certain medical conditions that do not have voluntary reporting needs, such as epilepsy and visual impairments. The reporting is mandatory for medical providers to report an individual who has a cognitive or medically impairing disability to the DMV. It's just a short step before it's mandatory to report all of the conditions that you guys have listed here today, even if it doesn't impair their cognitive ability or ability to operate a motor vehicle. I know that the intent behind the bill is to decrease negative interactions with the police and first responders, and we understand that. But by placing a symbol or other indicator of a medical condition on their driver's license, concerns arise about unintentional discrimination that may take place. Equal access to services and supports is the end goal. Businesses have a right to refuse service to anyone, but if you place a patron's protected health information on their driver's license, it's in plain sight. Should a business owner choose to refuse service to that individual, they can, and they absolutely will. And we understand what you guys are trying to do, but when you put it on their driver's license, you're forcing an individual to disclose their protected health information. It states voluntary, but I have epilepsy. It is not voluntary. On my driver's license, on the back, where you normally see things like restrictions for corrected lenses, I have that as well, but it also states that I have a medical condition. It's already there. So the point of this bill is really moot, but you're taking away the rights. So I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. BPS, do we have any other callers?
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to the neutral position on Senate Bill 362, and we'll invite anyone to the table that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 362. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Chair, committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. I just got here from my son's middle school graduation.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. I guess there was a question about the bill, if we move the implementation date back. And the answer to that is it would take out the programming costs, but not the vendor costs. So.
Okay. So it would only take out the $17,430, but everything else would remain.
Correct.
Perfect. So moving the implementation date would not enhance the bill at all. The better thing would be to amend the $127,772 into the bill. And would that be highway funds, general funds? Or we can figure that out after we amend it in.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, this is an account that does have highway funds, so I believe it would be appropriate to be a highway fund appropriation.
Thank you so much. And thank you for running up so quickly.
Thank
And tell
you.
your son we said congratulations.
Thank you, Chair.
Is there anyone else here in Carson City that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 362? Not seeing anyone in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 362?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 362, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Senator Neal, we have one more question from you. Assemblywoman Dickman?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to ask you, based on that testimony, because I don't see anywhere in here where this is required.
Thank you for the question, Assemblywoman. It is not required. It's voluntary. They can choose to do it or not do it. There is nothing in there that forces them to put their HIPAA information out there. In addition, she is correct that medical condition exists in law, as I stated on the record. It's an update from the 2007 law, which had a code. And so just to make it easier to identify rather than figure out what does a 6-digit code mean, to have a symbol.
And it's just one symbol for everything. I mean, it's not going to
Yes.
be different symbols for different, that you could identify what it was, right?
Yes, in Assembly Judiciary, they asked me to add a catch-all. So it could be any other disease that a citizen chose to apply to ask for the DMV to add to the list. So it is. So I didn't put some hundreds.
Right.
It just has a catch-all provision in there that allows that if a citizen wants to designate some other health condition other than what's enumerated in the bill, they have the ability to do so.
Thank you. That's how I was reading it, so I just wanted you to clarify. Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Not seeing any more questions, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 362, and we will open the work session on Senate Bill 362. And members, you've heard the testimony from the senator and from the Department of Motor Vehicles. And to move this bill along, we would need to amend the bill to add the appropriations from the Highway Fund of $127,772. And with that, I will accept a motion to amend and do pass.
Madam Chair, I'd move to amend and do pass Senate Bill 362.
So amend and do pass as amended in Senate Judiciary, or Assembly Judiciary.
Madam Chair, I'll clarify my motion. Move to amend and do pass as amended Senate Bill 362.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Backus, a second from Assemblywoman Peters. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimous of the members present. Moving on, the next item on our agenda will be Senate Bill 285, which will be followed by Senate Bill 339, and we'll invite Senator Don Darrell Loop to the table. Good morning.
Good morning. I feel like the family came back together for a minute. Good morning, Chair. I'm Marilyn Dondero Loop, representing Senate District 8, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the Nevada Center of Civic Education. And just some cliff notes, and then I'll go right into the fiscal part of it. The civic education that opens the door to democracy by providing support to teachers, empowering students, and engaging the community for a more educated Nevada. More notably, the center provides the We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution program with funding which promotes civic competency and responsibility among Nevada students. This bill makes an appropriation of $250,000 in fiscal year 23-24 and $250,000 in fiscal year 24-25 to the Nevada Center for Civic Engagement for the purpose of supporting civic and education programs across the state for students and adult programs. The legislature has made a similar appropriation in the past 3 legislative sessions for programming for students, and this measure added in additional funding so that the center could expand their civics program to our adult population. So I will stop there. If you have questions, I have my phone of friends with me, and they can answer those for you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Shane Piccinini, and I am the co-president of the Nevada Center for Civic Engagement. It's been a long week, so I'm sorry. And I would just like to remind you all that the We the People, the Citizen, and the Constitution program has been around in Nevada for over 30 years, 35 years. I'm old and obviously not remembering numbers well. And so I would like to thank all of you and members of this body for all of the support that we have gotten, both in terms of your participation in the programs in the classroom, as well as the support that you've given us over the last couple of legislative sessions. And so with that, I would like to invite Christine Hall just to do a brief summary of the bill, and then we will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. For the record, my name is Christine Hull, and I am the program director for the Nevada Center for Civic Engagement. I'm an educator in the state of Nevada, as well as a native Nevadan. And I think it's safe to say that education in this state is my passion. Last month, the results from the 22 administration of the NAEP progress report in 8th grade civics and history were released. And all I can say is that only a quarter of the students in this nation are proficient in history and civics. That is why our work is more important than ever. The Nevada Center for Civic Engagement believes that providing opportunities for all children in Nevada to engage in high-quality, inquiry-driven learning supports the growth of their skills and their development. It will prepare them for the dispositions needed to be community members in the 21st century. Our professional learning supports for teachers includes implementation of our highly engaging, in-depth social studies programs like We the People, National History Day, Project Citizen, Community Engagement in Public Policy, and Law Day. We deliver engaging content and skills through our Ask the Expert series and our Student Skills Boot Camp. This coming year, we are hoping to bring this high-quality, engaging program to even more students across the Silver State, including adults, as Senator Daruloop mentioned. We have seen an increase in requests for our programming in the elementary and middle schools across the state. SB 285 will allow our organization a foundation of funding to provide more supports to teachers through in-depth professional learning and student engagement opportunities. It will allow students to have voice and choice in how they engage in their own learning. It will allow communities to engage with students in positive and productive ways, especially our underserved populations, which has been a focus of our work. The passage of SB 285 will allow the Nevada Center for Civic Engagement to continue its work and invest in even more classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. And members, if you haven't participated in the We the People, I encourage you to do so. It can be fun and challenging. Do you have any questions for the presenters? All right, not seeing any. Thank you so much. We'll ask you to take a step back, and we'll invite anyone to the table that would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 285.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Sheila Bray with the University of Nevada, Reno. We'd like to express our support for this bill. Civics engagement and education is something we actually already do through our 4-H Youth Development Program, but these funds will open the door to provide even more opportunities for students across the state to take part. So we thank you for your time and support this bill.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Trevor Parrish, here on behalf of the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of SB 285 and the allocation that it makes, and therefore we urge your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. Alexander Marks with the Nevada State Education Association in support of Senate Bill 285. We've supported this, I think, every time it's been in front of any committee in this building, and we'll keep doing it as long as it is.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name's Mary Przinski, here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents. And like NSEA, we've supported this program throughout, and we will continue to do so because it's a good program. So thank you.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 285. Not seeing anyone in Las Vegas, BPS. Can we go to the phone lines? Do we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 285?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 285, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. Catherine Nielsen again from the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. We're happy to support this bill. We also host a program called Partners in Policy Making, which provides education on civic matters and participating in the policy making process. So we highly encourage the use of other programs that also provide that same education. So we happily support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and the rest of the beautiful, hardworking committee, the best committee in town. This is Dora Martinez representing the Nevada Disability Peer Action Coalition. I'd like to echo Ms. Catherine Nielsen's comment and also the UNR representative. I was involved in a lot of the policy making back in 2014 with Dr. Mary Hilton, and we came over there and she really did a great job in mentoring us. And so we like to thank the sponsor and the co-presenter for bringing this common sense bill. Please, we encourage you all to pass it. Have a great day.
You do the same. Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 285? Not seeing any. I'm not seeing anyone in Las Vegas coming to the table. BPS, do we have anyone on the telephone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 285?
If you would like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 285, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So moving to the neutral position, is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 285? Not seeing any here in Carson City, and still not seeing anyone at our table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on our telephone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 285?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 285, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. And with that, we'll ask the presenter if you have any closing comments. Seeing none, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 285, and we will open the work session on Senate Bill 285, and I will accept a motion to do pass.
Madam Chair, I'd move to do pass Senate Bill 285.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Bacchus, a second from Assemblywoman Peters. Any discussion? Opposed? The motion carries unanimous of the members present. And we will move on and open the hearing for Senate Bill 339. And welcome Senator Dondero back to the table.
Thank you, Madam Chair, again. And for the record, I am Marilyn Dondero Loop, representing Senate District 8 in Clark County. And I'm here to present Senate Bill 339. Our teachers and support personnel are hardworking, dedicated individuals that strive for their students' success. However, helping those students achieve the success can come at a real cost to our teachers. The National Education Association reported in 2022 that well over 90% of teachers spend their own money on school supplies and other items that students need. I know most of you know that these things can include paper, notebooks, pencils, classroom books, but it also can include things like we're doing a science project and we need cotton balls and Q-tips. So might be a high school teacher who needs a science experiment piece or robotics. So these contributions can cost on an average around $500 or more of a teacher's own money. And so this spending, coupled with often how low the pay is for teachers and specialized instructional support personnel, we'd like to use this bill to help that along and contribute. So in summary, with this bill, the conceptual amendment to Senate Bill 339 seeks to support teachers in providing classroom supplies through making an appropriation to the Nevada Department of Education in the amount of $10 million, providing an authorization to grant the appropriated money to an organization for the purpose of providing necessary classroom materials and supplies identified by teachers for their classrooms, and providing the requirements that the NDE enters into that agreement to determine how the granted money will be used, and providing that the individual awards would be set at $500 per teacher or specialized instructional personnel per year. I have Superintendent Ebert here with me if you have questions about how the program will be managed, but in general, just as cliff notes, teachers identify their materials needed, and then they go through a program to request those, and then those are awarded and sent back to them. So with that, Madam Chair, I urge your support of Senate Bill 339, and I'll take questions or ask Superintendent Ebert to join me if you have some for her.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I see that the actual $10 million for the grant is in the actual bill, but there was a fiscal note that had been submitted from the Department of Education, and it included a management analyst position. If you could just testify about that, would that still be needed? I know there a lot was taken out of the bill in the reprint, so is that still needed?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, that fiscal note has been asked to be removed with the reprint of the bill.
We like zero. All right, members, any questions for the presenters? Yes, Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. And I do have questions that have to do with the policy. I'll take that offline, and it will not make any changes to my vote. Thank you for bringing this forward. Greatly appreciate it. I want to make sure, though, with this money, is this open to more than one program, or is it only for, I'm just going to say that the company that's been used in the past by some people has been Donors Choose, which does not always have everything available that some people would like, number one. And then number two, is this money going to be used in place of putting money towards textbooks, which unfortunately some individuals have tried to state that that's why we don't need to put more money into textbooks at the instructional level.
Well, I will just tell you, this is not to be used towards textbooks, but if a teacher should choose to need a classroom set of novels, for example, in either a third grade classroom or a high school program, they may use this money for that. But and I'll let Superintendent Ebert address the distribution part.
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, Senator Dondero Loop has sponsored this type of bill for many years in a row. And in the past, the money went to the school district, and then teachers had to maintain receipts, and it was a very cumbersome process. And the pandemic did allow us to work with a vendor that took a lot of that work off of their shoulders and to get the supplies to them rather quickly. And actually, we've been recognized nationally. Several other states have picked up on this process. I think it's 5, and we were the first, and they followed after Nevada. So that being said, they do try to best fill those, specific requests. Sometimes teachers get very specific on a type of product, like, instead of saying tissue, they'll say Kleenex. So they do try to fulfill the specific request, but to your statement, sometimes they are not able to. We will also look across the nation as well to see if there are other vendors that do the similar work before we move forward.
Thank you. Members, any other questions? Assemblywoman Gorlo.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. So if you could clarify just a little bit more for me, because I had some questions very similar to my colleague. We have some funding that's on the district level. We have the Donor Choose, and then this will be additional, or are we combining? How is that working out? Again, thank you.
Thank you very much. Marilyn Dondero Loop, for the record. This money will be specifically for the Donors Choose unless there is another vendor chosen. But we had great success with them, and they have worked with us, so it has worked out very well. Any monies that a school has, for example, if a principal has a bake sale, we'll just go real simple, and then has, some discretionary funds and decides to let a teacher use it, that's their money. We don't go into the schools and do this because and you might have one school that has 10 teachers that do this, and you might have one school that has 0. So it is up to the specific teacher to reach out and request those funding. But I can tell you in the past, we've had no problem using all of these funds. But there are teachers who do not request them. And by the way, I probably should say, some teachers who have not requested have actually said, I'm not going to request that. I'm a veteran teacher and I don't need those funds. I can supply this to my classroom. I'm going to allow a new teacher to use these funds instead. And so they have helped their fellow teachers be able to access those funds and use their own money for what they need.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you so much. Members, any other questions for the presenters? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you so much. We will move to testimony in support of Senate Bill 339.
Good afternoon now. Alexander Marks with the Nevada State Education Association speaking in support of Senate Bill 399 as amended. Especially, we appreciate the inclusion of specialized instruction support personnel as well in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Trevor Parrish here on behalf of the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber supports Senate Bill 339 and the allocation that it makes for our teachers, so we urge your support. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przinski here representing Nevada Association of School Superintendents. We're in full support of this bill, and we want to thank the sponsor for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. See no one else here in Carson City to testify in support of Senate Bill 339. Not seeing anyone at our table in Las Vegas. BPS, can we go to the phone line and see if we have anyone that would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 339?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 339, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. This is Catherine Nielsen again, and actually I'm going to testify as a parent. I have 2 children in the Carson City School District, and oftentimes teachers not only put in their own money, but ask for families to put in some sort of donation or donate supplies to the classroom, and that's often difficult for us as well. And so I think this is a common sense bill that we should be helping to support teachers so that they can continue to educate the next generation of policymakers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and to the still hardworking and awesome committee. This is Dora Martinez representing Nevada Disability Action Coalition. I ditto Executive Director Catherine Nielsen's comment and all of the support comments. And thank you so much to the sponsor. Have a great day.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you. Moving to opposition, is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide testimony in opposition on Senate Bill 339? Not seeing any at our table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on our phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 339?
If you'd like to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 339, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. So moving to the neutral position, is there anyone here in Carson City that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 339? Not seeing anyone approach the table and not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on our phone line that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 339?
If you would like to testify neutral on Senate Bill 339, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much, and we will ask the presenter if you have any closing comments.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and committee, for hearing 2 bills.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 339, and we will open the work session for Senate Bill 339. And seeing that the fiscal note was removed through the testimony from NDE, I will accept a motion to do pass.
Madam Chair, I'd move to do pass Senate Bill 339.
I have a first from Assemblywoman Backus, a second from Assemblywoman Peters. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries, unanimous of the members present. Members, we will open the hearing for Senate Bill 244, and we'll invite Senator Pacina to the table. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Moreno, Vice Chair Backus, and committee members. For the record, my name is Julie Pizzina, representing Senate District 12 and Clark County, and I'm here today to present Senate Bill 244, which provides funding to support the creation and maintenance of school garden educational programs in Nevada's public schools. Back in 2017, the legislature first approved SB 167, which for the first time appropriated state general funds to support the creation and maintenance of school garden programs in Nevada. Today, SB 244 provides funding for pre-K through 12 school garden programs to continue into the next biennium. School garden programs are powerful learning tools for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, STEAM educational programs. And I hope some of you had the opportunity to visit the farmers market in front of the building on May 16th and see some of the students from Northern Nevada, where they had the opportunity to show off their skills in financial literacy and entrepreneurship. In addition to STEAM, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship, research has also found that gardening helps build a sense of community and belonging within both the schools and a broader community. And children engaged in garden programs show improved health outcomes, such as eating fresh fruits and vegetables. And in addition, these programs are also tied to improved mental health and the reduction of anxiety and stress in children. Financial appropriation. SB 244 would appropriate $1.5 million in fiscal year 2023-2024 and $1.5 million in 2024-2025 for schools to create and maintain school gardens. This funding would be administered by Nevada's Department of Education to provide grants of funding for public schools, including charters. Generally, for each school, the funding supports building the program, specifically for things like removing grass, making raised vegetable gardens, planting fruit trees, school curriculum areas, etc. And in order to qualify for funding, each school must create and maintain a school garden, develop curriculum relating to the school garden that pertains to Nevada and its desert environment, complies with the academic standards for science, utilizes experiential learning to teach STEM topics, and this bill also allows for assistance from members of the community that have experience with food education, such as local farmers and chefs, provides students with the ability to operate a farmer's market, to sell the produce from the school garden, and just a couple months ago in April of 23, the largest in the nation and extremely successful student-led farmer's market took place in southern Nevada, and we're excited to grow the one in northern Nevada. Provides the opportunity for students to see how a meal is cooked using the produce grown from the school garden, and establishes garden teams comprised of teachers and, to the extent practicable, parents and members of the community. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions you may have, and thank you so much again for allowing us the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything to the testimony? Okay, thank you. Members, any questions? There was a fiscal note from the Department of Education, and if you would come up to the table just to address that, that would be great. Good morning.
Good morning again. Thank you, Chairman Moreno, all of the committee members. I just have to give a huge kudos to this program. It has been extremely successful. Integration of the curriculum, mathematics, marketing, entrepreneurship, all of those things. So I get giddy, obviously, when we talk about education. That being said, the fiscal note. We had a fiscal note. We submitted we submitted another fiscal note this morning, a different one, much lower cost. We did remove the EPP because this committee and others had approved the K-5 STEM earlier, so we're able to remove that. And then we just left the half of a MA, which Deputy Peterson can describe the work there.
Deputy Superintendent Megan Peterson for the record. The remaining fiscal note, as mentioned, was for a management analyst. This position will assist us with our pre-award risk assessment as well as the monitoring that is associated with all of our subrecipients. Our work has continued to grow in that area, and so we do want to have support to ensure those dollars are out efficiently and effectively.
And what is the total of that fiscal note now?
Megan Peterson for the record, approximately 50 to 54,000. I'm sorry, my brain is a little muddled this morning. In fiscal year 24, and then it increases to approximately 60,000 in fiscal year 25.
Superintendent Ebert for the record for fiscal year, for fiscal year 24, it's $54,537.50. And for fiscal year 25, it is $60,348. For a total of the biennium, $100,215.80. Oh, I'm sorry, future biennium. It's been a long couple of days. My apologies.
Yes, it has. 54. Yeah. Perfect. Members, any questions for the presenter? Assemblywoman Peters.
Oh, I love this program too. I have the same giddiness. My husband calls my garden the chaos garden, but to me, it's an educational experience of like microbial growth and plot management and all the factors that go into growing a garden. And I love to get my kiddos involved, getting their hands dirty, although they don't always love it. I do, however, have a question about the added subsection G in here, which is to add an OSIT oversight. Can you talk about why we added OSIT into the criteria for the bill and what it means to be identified as high quality by them?
Thank you so much for the question. Julie Pizzina for the record. So in order to take part in this program, really we look for approval by the Nevada Department of Education, and we look for an approved aligned curriculum. And so the STEM certification really the OSIT certification really stems from that, trying to ensure that we have the highest quality curriculum that's focused on science, technology, engineering, math, and that's really where it was.
Do you know how many entities that have provided this service previously or been granted these dollars have that certification already?
So I know that Green Our Planet, who's working with a number of pre-K through 12 programs throughout the state right now in both southern and northern Nevada and the rurals, has that certification. I hope that a number of others are working toward it, but the NDE might have a better idea than I do.
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but that certification from OSIT is very helpful to the program, and we do align work with the Office Science, Innovation, and Technology.
Okay, well, I've had a different experience with OSIT, and don't love this part of the bill. In Northern Nevada, my children's school has a not-for-profit that they set up to do their garden work, and this is an additional burden on them to try and go through this process. It's also my understanding that it's taken like 2 years, which means if someone's starting to apply for this program right now, they won't even be able to apply for these funds in the biennium. So I would encourage us to make that either an alternate to the county's program curriculum approval at the moment, and next year maybe figure out how to fit this in. But for the moment, I'm pretty uncomfortable for my folks in Northern Nevada with including that piece because of the timeline for OSIT.
Julie Pizzina for the record, and I know we also have someone on the phone lines who might be able to answer this as well. My understanding is in order to provide the curriculum that is required by NDE, we're trying to make this as educational of experience as possible, and adding that helps with that curriculum, ensuring that that's met. But I'd also like to hand it over to Kira Barnes, if you're okay with that, who's on Zoom or online somehow right now, I've been told.
I think it's on Zoom. We can hear you.
Oh. Yeah, sorry about the video malfunction there. I apologize, I didn't hear the question.
Assemblywoman Peters, could you repeat the question?
Well, I mean, it's more of a concern than a question that this OSIT criteria really will eliminate a number of folks from being able to apply for these funds in the biennium, because the process, my understanding, has taken up to 2 years to receive the certification through OSIT. And in Washoe County, at least, Washoe County has a process for approving these types of curriculums. They've already set up the criteria within the county to be able to apply to work with schools. So
I guess if you have a response to like how long it takes to get this certification, and can ensure us that it's not going to eliminate those folks who maybe don't already have the certification. It sounds like there's only one entity in the state that has the certification already, but that could be helpful, but more of a concern, I guess, than a question.
Yeah, thank you so much for the concern. My name is Kira Byrne. I'm the CEO of Greener Planet, and I'm happy to address this concern, Madam Chair and the committee. So essentially, it is true. It did take us almost 2 years to complete the STEMworks accreditation. And I think why it was included in the bill is this is very much specifically for schools. And the STEMworks accreditation is very focused on next generation science standards and ensuring that any organizations that are working in the area of STEM, with students, that the programs that they're providing, the curriculum they are providing are to the highest of standards and that they meet all the next gen science standards. And I believe that is why Senator Bezina and other people who are involved in putting together the bill, that they wanted to ensure that all of our students in our schools will have the very best quality in STEM education. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I believe that subsection creates a discrepancy for who can participate in the program, and we have already stood up so many of these in our communities. Pine Middle School in my district, my children's school, as well as a variety of others who I just don't think have the resources to go through the certification process. It's a little underbaked, that the process is, and an outreach to those entities to have this be something that limits the access to these funds and the buy-in, especially because this is almost 5 times as much as has been previously asked for. I feel like that really puts a burden on the communities that have established these programs.
Thank you so much. And Chair, I should have asked originally, should I go through you or, okay, sorry.
to the
Thank
member.
you so much. Assemblywoman Julie Pazina again for the record, and thank you so much for your concern. This was added into the bill simply because we wanted to provide the most possible oversight and accountability to ensure the best really just the most aligned possible curriculum that we were ensuring for our kids in Nevada schools, and that's why it's there. I have not personally gone through OSIT's STEM curriculum for any program of my own, so I haven't been through that myself, so I can't speak to that experience, but I can tell you the only reason it was put in here was for accountability and oversight and to ensure that we had the most aligned possible curriculum in NDE. And so that was really the reasoning for it. Obviously, if that's something that this committee can't get over and they feel like NDE would be best served by taking that out, that's a conversation I'm happy to have with NDE and do. But again, the only reason for this was to provide the most possible accountability and oversight and the best possible programming for kids in Nevada schools. And that's why it was there, because we certainly don't want to ask for, as you mentioned, a large appropriation without that oversight and accountability in place.
And I appreciate the desire to do that. I just want to, for the committee's maybe edification, at our school, they have the PTA because they're partially funding it. We have the school's oversight of the curriculum. Washoe County has oversight of the curriculum. NDE has oversight of the curriculum with these funds. There's several layers of oversight that exist already. I don't disagree that the certification that we have designated through OSAT is important to ensure that we're meeting a standard for STEM. I just think at this moment it creates a bigger burden and hurdle than is really appropriate in the biennium. So I would recommend that we remove that component.
Thank you so much. Assemblywoman Anderson.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for bringing forward the language, and I understand exactly where my colleague is coming from. Has there been discussions, though, with those other groups? Because you do actually state in the bill on page 2, line 2, to nonprofit organizations, and then later in the bill, the section that my colleague is bringing up under G, where it feels a little bit more specific. Has there been discussions with those other groups that are active in the Washoe County School District area? And if so, has there been discussion about working together as well as going through kind of a review of their curriculum, which again, my colleague brought up has been pretty extensive with the number of individuals involved in the Washington County School District.
I believe it from conversation. Marco Rauda, for the record, with Alfaro Consulting, representing Green Art Planet, MARCO, RAUDA. We have had discussions with several groups, not just in the north, but we also do fund a lot of other separate organizations, so we would be willing to re-grant. The whole process of re-granting is very simple. All they have to do is take the Green Art Planet curriculum that's already in Canvas, and it's already in the Department of Education, the Department of Education fund. So ultimately, that could be a process as well. And
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but what exactly is Canvas?
Oh,
because that
Canvas
is not used across the state.
So Canvas is a system that's inside of the Department of Education. I think the Department of Education, to be able to educate, I think I think the Department of Education can better answer that than me.
Good morning, Superintendent Ebert, for the record. So Canvas is a tool that allows curriculum to be made available across the entire state. You have graciously funded that as well, and it is available for all of our students and our teachers. And it is yes, there you go.
And just to finish my portion, Marco Rauda, Alfaro Consulting, representing Green Art Planet, for the record, through the chair to the Assemblywoman. I do hear that there are other groups already in the process as well to try to get the certification, and we welcome all the groups to please go ahead and get the certification. But as the sponsor had mentioned, we were looking for, we want to ensure accountability for all the monies that were going out as well.
You're so welcome. Members, any other questions for the presenter? Not seeing any. I will ask you to go ahead and take a seat back, and we will open it up for testimony and invite those to the table that would like to testify in support.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee, or afternoon, I guess, at this point. Sheila Bray with the University of Nevada, Reno. We'd like to express our strong support for this, and I'd just like to give a little context as well. In Extension, that is hosted by UNR, particularly in our Clark County, Southern Nevada, we have school garden programming that we do, and we work directly with those schools to help them, not do it for them, but to help them set up school gardens, as well as have defined criteria and academic curriculum that we have with those teachers, and really work with them to make sure that they have that and it's all aligned to academic content standards already. So we would be more than happy to work even closer with NDE on this and help share what we have existing. And then there's also a part of that that's a professional development tool for those teachers. And so it's not just setting up the gardens, but it's how they maintain it themselves and how they can grow and develop that, as well as to be aware of the environment that they're in. So we fully support this bill. We thank Senator Pezzina for bringing it forward. We see so many of those benefits that she talked about in her presentation true for the students in classes that we see. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Christy Cabrera-Georgeson, and I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Conservation League. We're here in support of SB 244. School gardens help kids get outside, learn about nature, and support our local food chain, so we urge the committee's support. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Alexander Marks with the Nevada State Education Association, speaking in support of Senate Bill 244. School gardens have been shown to improve academic achievement, increasing student connection to the natural environment, and increasing student interest and achievement in science, and we stand in full support.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Andy Belanger with the Las Vegas Valley Water District, here today in support of SB 244. The Springs Preserve also has quite a number of videos on YouTube, resources, our teaching garden at the preserve, that are there to help provide support for groups that, for schools that wish to have community gardens. We strongly support SB 244, and we really appreciate that it provides funding for the creation and maintenance, because the maintenance concerns are really important. And so we have videos that help make sure that people understand how to maintain those gardens, because that's an important part. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Tony Ramirez for the record, with Make the Road Nevada, on behalf of our youth members, our environmental committee members, and our health committee members, I'm here in support. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, Janet Quintero with United Way of Southern Nevada for the record. I'm here to testify in support of SB 244 as a supporter of school gardens in our Southern Nevada area. We know that it is a very important program for our students, so happy to testify in support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Not seeing anyone else here in Carson City to provide testimony in support. Not seeing anyone at our table in Las Vegas. BPS, do we have anyone on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in support of Senate Bill 244?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 244, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Monroe Moreno and committee. Annette Dawson Owens, serving as the School Readiness Policy Director for the Children's Advocacy Alliance. We are enthusiastically supporting Senate Bill 244 as an educator who has put in and maintained multiple school gardens, loves so many components of this bill, including the fact that we will be serving lots of Title I schools, that we have the possibility to teach gardening to students with disabilities, providing high quality STEM education. Love the monthly garden team meetings that are a possibility, as well as the career paths and chef visits, especially with our hospitality expertise and ties here in Nevada. Appreciate the hydroponic option, the farmers market component. We recently had an amazing one here in Summerlin, and the financial literacy that comes from such an experience is hugely impactful for students. And maybe the most important thing is the ability to have access and experiences with fresh, healthy vegetables and foods in our schools and the communities, and the mental health and wellness benefits that come from this. We know firsthand all the possibilities that come with the creation and funding of gardens and the learning engagement that will ensue for Nevada students. One concern we want to emphasize with these funds is the accountability that the garden must be maintained and kept up, which does require intentional efforts and funding. Thank you very much for bringing this bill forward.
Thank you so much. Next caller.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Camila Rios from Three Square Food Bank. Chairwoman and committee members, we would like to thank you for considering Senate Bill 244 today, and many thanks to Green Our Planet and the bill's many sponsors for championing this critical legislation. Childhood is a critical time in the life of an individual when lifelong eating habits are established and the access or lack thereof to food influences future potential health and wellness of individuals. Unfortunately, in Southern Nevada, spanning for 4 countries, Three Square serves Clark, Esmeralda, Lincoln, and Nye, based on 2021 Feeding America MAP the meal gap data. More than 93,000 Nevada children resided in a household with food insecurity. Food insecurity is interwoven through our Southern Nevada community, and it deeply impacts children and their families. Childhood and adolescence is a critical time for growth and development, and if preventive measures are taken during this period, future health conditions can be reduced or mitigated. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention cite a handful of dietary items that, if introduced into an individual's meal pattern at 2 years old and onward, can aid in health and wellness. Those items include fruits and vegetables, whole grains, fat-free and low-fat dairy products, protein-rich foods, and oils. The introduction of school gardens into school systems and communities improves overall food systems that have been notoriously characterized by diets that are low in fruits and vegetables and high in sugar and other simple carbs. Additionally, these food systems are often characterized by immense shortages of healthy, affordable, accessible, and reliable food options. School garden programming not only has immense educational benefits for Nevada's children, but they also alter how residents in underserved neighborhoods think about their food choices, improve fruit and vegetable consumption, integrate more local foods in resident diets, and access food not previously tried or available to residents. Senate Bill 244 seeks to greatly benefit our state's children and their families. Three Square thanks you all for your consideration and requests your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next caller.
Chair, there are no additional callers choosing to testify at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to opposition. Is there anyone in the room that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 244? Not seeing any. Not seeing anyone at the table in Las Vegas, BPS, do we have anyone on the telephone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 244?
If you would like to testify in opposition on Senate Bill 244, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
I apologize. I meant to hit star 9 for neutral. Can I redo that for star 9 for neutral?
You can go ahead and we'll just move your testimony to neutral. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Linda Flaherty, Linda. Last name Flaherty, Flaherty. I've worked in the school districts for 30 years. I just recently, my last month was July of last year. And I have seen over the years, and as a teacher, I was 15 years as a teacher in science, familiar with the Nevada academic science standards, and as a special ed teacher. I was also 15 years as an administrator, either as a dean, an assistant principal, or a principal. So I've seen over the years what has occurred, especially in the last 4 years with the pandemic, and then after the pandemic with students way behind, especially in math, with their skill levels. So it's very difficult to watch because these students come back, they're trying, they still can't get it, and then they have some behavior issues. Gardens are critical with social emotional learning and critical for STEAM. It is important that these students get access to project-based learning because that is how they get engaged, that is how they remember, that is how they get excited all the way through K through 12 systems and into, believe it or not, when you're looking at 13 and 14 with the community colleges. I think it's super duper important that we pass, that we are neutral I am neutral for this position, but I really don't want to see, because of some legality regarding a curriculum, that it doesn't pass. I do know that there's there's different agencies that are worried about the curriculum, but I think it's important to really take a look at, we're trying to help kids all the way up after the pandemic and actually learn and get better at their different reading, writing, and math skills. And if we don't take a look at that, maybe we can flex a little bit and be a little bit more lenient on what type of curriculum is going to be approved, so that all agencies, after school programs, Title I, K through 12 educational systems, that they still have that opportunity to work with the gardens, because I think it is so important. And I'm finished now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. BPS, do we have any other callers?
Yes, Chair.
My name is Lisa Ortega, Lasaortega, and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. In my regular workday, I have provided fruit trees to many schools and have worked with many fabulous nonprofits. I want to say first, I am for the funding of school gardens, gardens for schools, and their maintenance. I am concerned about the piece of Office in Science, Innovation, and Technology policy, which is a national policy, which completely limits the ability of the nonprofits and their beautiful work in Nevada to be able to partake from this bill. Tribes who would like to implement school gardens could not apply, could not grow culturally significant crops with their elders and their Nevada qualified teachers for this bill. They wouldn't be able to apply. Successful school garden farms in Reno, Washoe County, especially for school learning, have schools coming to them. Thousands of students being served without a garden at the school is also highly successful, with over 3 gardens up and running, and they also will not be able to apply. I'm asking you to change the language that burdens our fully educated science teachers meeting all Nevada school district qualifications for teaching. I am for the funding of school gardens, gardens for schools and their maintenance, but with the OSIT, this bill is a one-size-fits-one, not a one-size-fits-all for Nevada. And I'm asking you on behalf of many, many beautiful community garden programs to please change OSIT national policy in this bill. Thank you very much. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the committee. This is Dora Martinez with Nevada Disability Pre-Action Coalition. I would echo Ms. Lisa Ortega and shout out the concern with Assemblywoman Pretty Awesome Peters. And we please make this curriculum more inclusive, diversity, equity, and accessibility for all nonprofits. And we thank you. Have a good Friday.
Thank you so much. Next caller. BPS, do we have any other callers joining us on the phone line that would like to provide testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 244? Did we lose BPS?
Chair, we have no other callers wishing to provide testimony at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will move to the neutral position. Is there anyone that would like to provide neutral testimony on Senate Bill 244 here in Carson City or in Las Vegas? Not seeing anyone approach the table. BPS, do we have anyone else on the phone line that might want to provide testimony in the neutral position on Senate Bill 244?
If you'd like to give neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 244, press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers wishing to provide testimony at this time.
Thank you so much. Then we will invite the presenter back to the table if you have any closing comments.
Thank you so much again, Chair Julie Pizzina, for the record, and to the committee for hearing this bill. SB 244 is obviously a very important bill to the community, and I thank everyone for their comments. To follow up on Assemblywoman Anderson's question, I should have mentioned this earlier, a number of groups did come to us during the process, and we found that a number of those groups, and the keyword here is community, were looking to fund community and not school gardens. And so that was one challenge we had throughout this process. They wanted this bill to then not go through NDE and to fund different community gardens. And while those are very important, this bill is specifically for school gardens. Again, we thank you all so incredibly much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 244. And members, on May 23rd of this year, we heard Senate Bill 452, and we are going to go ahead and work session that bill today. And I will turn the work session presentation over to our fiscal staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 452 would allocate all proceeds from the basic tax for governmental services imposed on vehicles into the highway fund. Under current law, 25% of the proceeds from the taxes are allocated to the general fund, and the remaining 75% are allocated to the highway fund. Should this pass, $27.6 million in 2024 and $28.3 million in 2025 would be deposited to the highway fund rather than the general fund. And this is based off of the Economic Forum's May forecast.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to do pass.
Madam Chair, I'd move to do pass Senate Bill 452.
I have a motion from Assemblywoman Bacchus, a second from Assemblyman Watts. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. And any opposed? The motion carries unanimous of the members present. Thank you so much, members. And as I stated, we will probably have a few meetings today. We have 2 items left on our agenda. We might get more before the day's over. But if you were here for Assembly Bill 237 or Assembly Bill 525, we will be hearing those later today. We are going to go in recess. We have to get to the floor. And there's a few committee meetings that will be meeting before we come back. We will come back at the call of the chair, but I will let you know that anticipated time is about 6 p.m. So with that, we are in recess. And I'll see y'all on the floor.